I'll be blunt, my friends. Hello, I'll be blunt. The more you work, the less you'll be promoted, the less you'll advance in your company. And why am I telling you this? These past few days in consulting, I've had a series of people, just by chance, who all had pretty much the same pattern in their careers. People who work a lot, and these are people I respect. An absolutely extraordinary work ethic. People, you leave them in front of a computer with files and all that, honestly, they'll just eat it up and do excellent work. But listen, there's even one person, get this. He was criticized for not working enough, but actually, when you look at the numbers, she was far exceeding what was expected of her. Okay, so what's the problem? Let me tell you something. And really, if you see yourself in this video, please, it's really urgent today. It's really urgent to become aware of what we're going to talk about and then to make a plan for change. What? Starting to change could just mean starting to think about your situation and about what I'm going to tell you today. Look at the problem when you work a lot, when you're always stuck in front of the computer. Well, I can tell you something right away. You're not socializing, you're not communicating with your managers, you're not communicating with your colleagues. You see, you want to know what people say about you when your back is turned, really. What do they say about you? When people go to the parking lot to smoke their fifth cigarette of the day, is it really just about smoking? These people will end up being paid better than you. These people will get ahead more than you. You know what they're going to say? These people, they're going to say, yeah, you know, that guy, we never hear from him. Yeah, he's always staring at his screen. We don't really know what he's doing. All of that is unfair. I've already heard that kind of talk about colleagues. It's unfair. What does he do in front of his screen? All day long, he's working. He's doing something that starts with a T. He's working. All right? He's moving things forward at work while you're here, spending the whole day complaining about idiots. All right, yes, but the reality is that people will see you as someone who's not friendly. Maybe he's arrogant with us. Maybe he doesn't like us. He doesn't appreciate us, right? So the problem when you get into that mindset is that you won't be known by your manager, by your colleagues, and you won't be recognized. You need to be known to be recognized. If you don't talk or interact with us, how can we know you? Listen, everything will just pass you by. I'm just telling you something, giving you an example. Maybe I've given it before, maybe not. Look, let's take a big company like Veolia. I'm not sure, but I think Veolia, a very big company, is in the cotation assistée en continu 40. Okay, when you see the garbage truck, the one with the Veolia logo that comes by in the morning to pick up the trash, you've got Dédé or Raymond or someone else hanging on the back, and they're running to pick up the bags or empty the bins. They press a button, tip them, and move on. They're really good. They spend their whole day hanging onto the truck, right? They're able to pick up tons of garbage. They outdo everyone else. All right, now let's think on the other end. Now let's think. You have a glass tower somewhere. It smells like Veolia, maybe in La Défense in Paris or a similar area. You have a glass tower, and inside you have the chief executive officer, his plush office. He doesn't pick up trash, he doesn't hang onto the truck, he doesn't count by the ton how much per hour. He's able to put black bags into a machine. Isn't that right? Who is honestly paid more? Who is paid the most? Who has a golden parachute worth millions? And who gets paid, say, maybe minimum wage or minimum wage plus 10% with meal vouchers and all that? Honestly, okay, so here's how the equation looks in companies. The closer you are to Raymond, who's hanging onto the truck, the less you're respected, the less you're valued, the less you're paid. The closer you are to the chief executive officer, the more you're paid. And actually, the less you work, the less you're involved in execution, and the more you're valued. So of course, I'm not telling you to become Raymond. I'm not telling you to become the chief executive officer, but somewhere in between the two. The closer you get to Raymond, it means that if you're breaking your back behind your screen, spending the whole day working like crazy. So listen, I'll give you my opinion from a moral standpoint. I'll give you my opinion. My opinion from a moral standpoint is that society can live without the chief executive officer, but it can't live without Raymond and people like him. All right, we need them. Look at what happens when there's a strike, when there's a garbage collection strike. The rats, the stench, the disaster, the journalists, all of that. And a chief executive officer strike. Have you ever heard of a chief executive officer strike? I've never heard of a chief executive officer strike before. But anyway, if he suddenly wasn't there anymore, I mean, we wouldn't even notice their absence. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating, but you get what I mean, at least morally. Dide and Raymond and Gagey and the others behind their trucks are more important than the chief executive officer. For us, yes, they're the ones doing the hardest, the noblest work. They're the ones in contact with the customer. They're the ones carrying out the company's mission. Yes, that's true. Yes, but well, there you go. Welcome to a world where everything is upside down. Welcome to companies today where everything is topsy-turvy. The value scale is reversed. So if you think with a moral value scale, whether it's a Christian, Muslim, or Jewish value scale, or whatever, or a scale if you want, a moral one, coming from the great religions, for example, or from those traditions, where you consider that the most noble work is the work that is normally the most recognized, the most rewarding. If you calculate your quality of work by the quantity, you're calculating, you need to suffer and earn your salary, right? You have to work hard for it. If you come from a working class family, you usually have parents or relatives like that. Indeed, they may have passed on to you without meaning to. I mean, it's not their fault, this kind of outlook. And unfortunately, that outlook is going to mess you up later in your career. All right, so clearly, if you're the one who works the most, you'll get stuck in your role. You'll get stuck in that, and you'll see, and it won't be unusual. You'll see people come in long after you, sometimes years after you, and end up getting all the applause. You'll attend the party when they're promoted, etc. And you won't even get a thank you. Okay, the day you leave, you'll leave quietly, and maybe a secretary will say goodbye to you. That's it. So, very important, my friends, balance. Do your self-promotion, create your personal narrative, talk to people around you about your work, communicate with others. Even if, once again, it's not natural for you, you might say, yeah, but for me, it's not natural. It's not really my thing or yours, and picking up trash isn't Raymond's either. If Raymond won the lottery, he wouldn't come pick up the trash. Picking up trash isn't his thing, but he does it because it's his job. Consider that communicating with others, paying attention to others, even if it's not your thing, it's still your job, it's still your work. More important than the work you're doing in front of your screen, it's much more important. And I'll tell you something to finish. If I give a grade, I don't know, to the work, let's say the work in terms of quantity, execution, and all that, I give it 6 out of 10 for progress in your career. I would say 9 out of 10 for communication with others, for communication, for socializing, and 10 out of 10 that's too risky. I wouldn't say that on YouTube.